Hello everyone, James Bell here and I'm back for another album review. Now, one of my viewers, Rob, asked if I was going to do something that was more recently released. And I do realise that many of my album reviews have come from the 70s, but to me, music is timeless, so it doesn't matter when it's come from. But it just so happens, you'll be happy to know, Rob, it just so happens that I did have a more recent album to review planned, and here it is. It's Oker's Midsummer Night's Dream, and this is the 15th anniversary edition. This was released last year in 2019. The original album being released in 2004 on the Toytronic label. This anniversary edition has been released by Lapsus Records. So Oker is the stage name for Christopher Leary. This album in particular helped Chris get recognition for his unique style of electronic music. It was at the time when digital audio production was pushing the boundaries of what was possible with sound design. And I think this album in particular, set the bar for other electronic composers, because Oker really did some really interesting things with sound design on this album. This anniversary edition, which is available to buy on Bandcamp, both digital and vinyl, this is the vinyl here of course, it's available to buy on Bandcamp, and it comes with a few extras and differences to the 2004 release. So firstly, this front cover is different to the original. So this was done by illustrator Nathaniel Reeves, and it's a beautiful design, isn't it? I love it. There's all these geometric shapes. It's beautiful. And he's produced artwork for Oker for the last 10 years. And yeah, I must say, I prefer this artwork to the original artwork on the original 2004 release. And you can see the back. The back's got a different design again. Slightly different. Same sort of style, but not quite. Slightly different. And all around here we've got the different track names, and it's a double album, so we've got A1 and then B, C and D, and yeah, it's arranged really nicely, very simply. I've kind of got it upside down, but yeah, no, it's really nice design. When my mum saw it, she thought it was very 70s-esque, and it is kind of, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of in that vein, and I love it. It's really cool. What's also really nice about when you get this, get the physical copy of this album, get the physical vinyl copy of this album from Bandcamp, is you also get a lovely full colour print of the front cover design. And I've got mine on my cupboard door. I think it looks very nice there. It looks very snazzy. And yeah, you can just look at it and you can see new details every time. And I think it's the same with the music. So I think it really goes hand in hand. It really reflects the nature of the music. Yeah, it's just great. Also, I've got these. So inside, let's have a look inside the album. So it's a double album, so we've got two vinyls here. Oh, let me come out. Oopsie. Don't wanna drop them. But as you can see, they are a lovely shade of blue. Isn't that lovely? And you can see each sticker in the middle actually has got a slightly different geometric design. So that's one. Let me kind of show you them. So that's one. That's for side D. That's side C. That's side B, and that's side A. So yeah, it's the design of this new 15th anniversary edition of the album has been very well thought through. I think it's been very well designed. I really like it. All the tracks have been remastered by John McCraig, and the album also includes 6 bonus tracks that weren't on the original 2004 release, but they were composed by Oker around that time period. So there are 3 bonus tracks on the vinyl, which are on the D side of the double album. But on the digital release, you also get, on top of that, you get an extra 3. So when you're buying the physical copy of the vinyl, you do also get the digital copy too. So don't worry about that. So you will have those 3 extra tracks on the digital copy of the album. So I've listened to those separately. They're not on the vinyl, but they are on the digital release, and they are also very good. So there's 16, let me think about this. There's 16 tracks on the vinyl, and there's 19 tracks on the digital. So with there being 19 tracks on this album, I think a full depth analysis would take far too long for a YouTube review. So I'm going to pick out my favourite moments and my thoughts on the pacing and the textures that Oka has used and what emotions were provoked from me, because I think musically, I always think when I listen to something, you know, how does it make me feel? And I think that's the most important thing when listening to something, you know, musically and in a critical situation, like, how does it move me? What does it think? What do I think about all these things together, and what impression does that give me? So I'm going to take that into consideration as well. So firstly, I love the opening, the very opening to the album, the first track, which is called Jugend. And I can only describe this opening track, Jugend, as these various electronic percussive sounds picking up energy right at the start and coming to life in this moment, very quick moment, where these serene sounding pad synths come in, and it really bounces nicely against these sharp, crispy sounding percussive sounds. They're the kind of sounds that I would have thought would have been very difficult to achieve with analog technology. They sound characteristically very digital, and some of these they're so intriguing, because I'm left thinking, how did he craft that sound? How did he get that sound? And it's just very intriguing. And in many of the tracks, there a good balance between these airy pad synths that are very atmospheric, and those kind of and those sharp percussive sounds, and they kind of act and react against each other, which I think is very clever sound design. So even though there's these 2 distinct separate elements I think are at play in this album, they do kind of really bounce against each other, but work really well and kind of gel together. My favourite track, because of its atmosphere, has got to be Brancaster Coast, with those slow pad synths that seem to almost be singing into this really long reverb acoustic space. It's really big sounding, and it really gives a sense of space and depth, and some of the tracks are very fast-paced and develop very quickly. This is very slow-moving, very serene, and it shows that Oka can produce a strong ambient track as well as more upbeat tracks with those more upbeat tracks with those percussive electronic glitches, such as the following track, Drink Mulk, and the intro of which is just such a sharp contrast to the previous track because it instantly grabs your attention again, and it goes, and then you're back into this really fast-paced track, almost like a dance track. And out of interest, I did do some research into the Brancaster Coast, and Brancaster Beach is a real coastline. It's in Norfolk, and it's a designated area of outstanding natural beauty, and I really want to visit it now because I've never been to Norfolk, so yeah. So having a look at some of these other titles, I think Oka comes up with some really clever titles of tracks. So REM Sleep Research is another quite upbeat one. Quite a lot of people from reviews I've seen on Bandcamp, that seems to be a favourite amongst many. I really like it, but Brancaster Coast is still my favourite. And then Saturn, we've got Involution and 11 and Seesaw, which I kind of remember again having a lot of percussive elements to that one. Saturn Niner, again, a very much focusing on the ambience in that track, very space-like. Sticklebrick Symphony has got to be my favourite title. I think that's such a great name. Summer Lusk. And then we come to the title track, Midsummer Night's Dream. And I think that's that's another standout track for me, because it does have that Shakespearean quality about it. And I'm not sure how far Oka was influenced by the play A Midsummer Night's Dream, but I can imagine, you know, the magical forest, where most of the action in the play happens, all the fairies and magical creatures. It has that air of mystique about it. And the ending of the track is quite intriguing, because he does use some reverse effects. He does have some audio played backwards at the end, some reverse effects there, which does give a dreamlike quality to the atmosphere. So I really liked that one. And then going on, we've got In Waves, Indivisible, End of the Rise. And those three tracks, like I said earlier, weren't included in the original 2004 release, so they're on the vinyl. And the final three tracks, which aren't included on this vinyl, are Airweight, Flaxen Bend, and Passing Landscapes. And Passing Landscapes kind of reminds me of being on a train or something. So those tracks were done by Oka in that time period, but weren't released on the original album, on the original Midsummer Night's Dream 2004 release. So I think it's really nice that they've included those 6 bonus tracks, because they are very good, and it shows how versatile Oka was at doing all these different kind of moods, and you know, some great track titles. I love the track titles. Brilliant. So that concludes my thoughts on A Midsummer Night's Dream. I would really recommend giving this album a listen, as there is a lot happening in this album, more than I could put into words, really. It made me feel... Some bits made me feel very emotional, I would say. You know, like the title track, Midsummer Night's Dream, you know, I could really feel a sense of mystery and sadness about it. And yeah, but other tracks seem to be very upbeat. But yeah, and Brancaster Coast, I think, was the one that penetrated me emotionally the most, I would say. But yeah, I would really recommend giving this album a listen, because it's quite hard to put the album into words. There's a lot happening on this album. What I would say, it's a very immersive listening experience, and it definitely deserved a 15th anniversary edition release. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if there are any other Bandcamp releases that you think I should be listening to, please, I would love to know. I'd be really interested, because there's so many releases out there, and I'm very well aware there's a lot of great albums out there that I haven't come across yet. So if you've got any suggestions for me, I'm all ears. So that's all from my YouTube channel today, but I will be back very soon for another album review. I plan to do a couple, actually, within the next month or so. So I plan to do a classic album review, probably from the 70s. Sorry, Rob, but yes, I do like a lot of 70s albums, but I will promise to do something more modern, maybe from Bandcamp. We'll just see. But in the meantime, stay safe, keep well, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye! Look who's behind the reel-to-reels. It's Tina. Oh, she's been asleep. She's so soft. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel either.